Hi there, it's Michelle Cameron Coulter, and welcome back to Inspiring Possibilities, the courage to jump in. As an Olympic gold medalist, TEDx speaker, and host of this podcast, which I love doing, at the core, I'm also a mom, most importantly, and a lifelong student of growth, courage, and what it really takes to move forward when life feels messy and imperfect. And this podcast is all about that real conversations, real stories, and what it truly looks like to step into your potential and create meaningful momentum in your life. Today, I'm joined by Allison Paradise, guide, public speaker, author, entrepreneur, and explorer with degrees in neuroscience from Brown and Harvard. She's the founder and CEO of the Epicenter, a nonprofit dedicated to helping children and young adults reconnect with their authentic selves and their limitless potential. She's also the founder and former CEO of My Green Lab, which became a global leader in sustainable science under her leadership. She also did a TEDx titled Our Little World. And this conversation, you're going to feel exactly why her world and her work matters so deeply. This is one about curiosity, asking better questions, and having the courage to listen to what's already inside of you. Let's jump in. I am so excited to actually have some time. I know I've been wanting and looking forward to connecting with you since we met in San Diego. And so to have you on the podcast and actually have some time to get to know you more, hear your story, the incredible work you're doing in this world. And you are seriously a bright light, like such a bright light. When you walk into a room, you just feel your presence. And I love that as we're sitting here, I'm just sharing, see the keyboard behind you, and you say it's for you because sometimes you just want to add some sparkly to the
Yeah.
day.
Right. You just reach behind and you just add a little, oh, it needs a little bit of a do 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 do.
Yeah,
Do. Yeah.
yeah. You have your own built-in special effects theater right there,
Exactly.
which is so good. So good. Well, I cannot wait to dive in. And I just want to say welcome. I'll do a casual intro, but really we're diving in right now as I get to hear your story. So I know that you're a guide, you do a lot of speaking, you're an author, entrepreneur, and you're an explorer with degrees in neuroscience from Brown and Harvard. No underachiever. And you're the founder and CEO of Epicenter, a nonprofit organization empowering children and young adults to reconnect with their authentic self and their limitless potential. I love that so much, and I cannot wait to dive into what brought you there, why you're so passionate about it, because I feel like you are the essence of what you do the
Oh,
minute I
I
met
really
you.
appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm so grateful that I'm here. Thank you.
So good. So share your story a little bit. Like what got you into what you're doing and now? Because you had another company before.
Yeah.
It was, I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. It is
My green lab. Yeah.
Migraine Lab. I was just watching your TEDx too, which I think
Oh,
you
thank
were
you.
sharing around that. You've done so many incredible things. So yeah, share your story. I know that's a really broad question, but what brought you to what you're doing now? So maybe we can touch on, what it was like growing up, what took you to Migraine Lab, and then now what's shifted you to the incredible work you're doing.
Yeah, I really appreciate this question because what brought me to this work now is actually what I knew I was meant to be doing from the age of 3.
Wow.
So, yeah, I just didn't have the courage to do it for so many
Wow.
years. So, when I was 3, my sister was born and she came home from the hospital. And forgive me, this makes me very emotional, so I'm probably going to cry. Um, my parents bring her home from the hospital, and she is the most beautiful. I mean, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She's just radiating light everywhere. And I am filled with so much love. And I knew in that moment, it was as clear as if somebody had come down and said, look, this is what you're here to do, is to keep this light open
Wow.
and glowing in people. And I had looked around and kind of saw, yeah, it exists in the adults around me, but it's so dim or it's hidden right behind all these things. And with my sister, it was just this pure, just unadulterated beauty. And at the time, I articulated this as I want to be a teacher, right?
Mm.
Like I didn't know how to put this into words, but I knew it was kids. I knew I wanted to work with them, and I knew it was keeping them open. And I told my parents I want to be a teacher. And my mother, who's it's very funny, who she is a teacher, she said, no, you,
Wow.
you choose doctor or you choose lawyer. Those are your options. Um, I grew up on the East Coast in the United States, and that's not super uncommon. So it's not, wasn't just my household, but over the years, I would say, hey, I want to be a teacher though. And my parents would be like, no. So I ended up choosing doctor, although I didn't become a doctor. That was the choice I made. It seemed more interesting than law and closer aligned to working with people in a way that felt closer to what I had in my heart. Um, and I went to school for neuroscience thinking, oh, I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. And um, the first 2 years of college, I was so sick. I was
Wow.
so sick, like pains in my stomach. Nobody could work out what was going on. Just couldn't get out of bed. Went from doctor to doctor to doctor. Everybody's telling me it's in my head, which I was like, it's not. I feel it in my body. And I went away the summer of my sophomore year to Spain, thinking I would get a job, which is just as an aside, very funny and so naive that I thought I could just go to another country, get a
I love
job.
it.
So I land in Madrid. It turns out you can't just get a job when you show up in another country. So I started writing and I started analyzing my life because I looked at it and I thought, I don't like this. Like, I'm not enjoying the classes. I'm not enjoying my university experience. I'm in pain all the time. What is going on? Like, I'm 20 years old. This is not something not right here. And I remembered it was almost like I had forgotten about working with kids. And I remembered, oh, I wanted to work with kids. I'm going to go back. I wasn't really talking to my parents because it was, what year was it? 2001. So I didn't have a cell phone. I had to use a
Right.
payphone. So I wasn't calling them very often, but I had this revelation. I'm going to come back. I'm going to start a school. So
Wow.
I'm all ready, right? I come back and I go, I'm going to start a school. And my parents are like, no. So they're like, if you don't want to be a doctor, we will settle for scientist. That'll be fine. You've been working in research labs since high school. You can be a scientist. That's fine.
Wow.
Um, so that's what I did. And then, once you graduate college, and then I went to grad school, and then I started working as a consultant. And like, as you go through life, it sucks you in. And
Mm.
it can be really difficult to break out of a routine that you've established, even if it's a routine that you don't like.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so then I started this
Well,
nonprofit.
I
Oh,
was going to
sorry, Michelle,
say,
did you
I
have a
was going to
question?
say,
Yeah.
like that is so big because the power and strength of the influence around us, especially those that are, and probably non-intentional, it's kind of
Right.
almost out of our protection of wanting to guide for the best out
Mhm.
of our kids or whatever. But it's like, I just want to reference for a moment because when I was listening to your TEDx, I got goosebumps right now because you talked about these boxes that we can get in because we don't even question.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, well, that's what I'm supposed to do just because someone said. And it's like, when do we stop? Like that trip to Madrid at 20 was so huge to slow and not just, I'm going to go explore the world. I'm going to ask some questions that are like tapping me back to this knowingness that I think, and I think that's what I sensed in you when I met you, is that we all have that inside, and yours is just
Yeah.
super bright and vibrant. Like it's like you've had to continue to mine it over and over. And this is why I'm so grateful to hear your journey. But I just wanted to highlight that part because I think it's so easy to go so far in life and not even notice, but your body was telling you. It's our
Yeah.
body tells us like something's not right. Like it's screaming, trying to give you the signs, but who stops and listens, or they just medicate it, right?
Right. Well, right.
Right.
That's what we're taught to do. I mean, we don't
Yeah.
have a really clear understanding that our body reflects our mental state and it's trying to talk to us all the time. And it was almost by accident that I figured that out when I was in Spain, because it's like I said, it wasn't intentional. I went to get away and get a job. And I'm
Mm,
so grateful for that opportunity because then I learned that at any point I could step away for a little while and just go, okay, what am I doing again? Do I want to be doing this?
yeah. It's
um,
a great life check-in moment,
yeah,
like more than once, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, I so appreciate your highlighting that. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So, so yeah, okay, so I'll let you back on the track again of
oh
where you're
yeah, no, it's all
going.
good.
Yeah.
So I had another one of those check-in moments when I got married and my husband at the time got a job to move up to the Bay Area and I'd been working as a consultant and I was having another one of those moments of just, okay, I'm making a lot of money, but I'm really bored and
Mhm.
everybody is telling me that I've made it. That this is it. This is what life is. You have lots of money, you're married, you're doing the thing, you're traveling all over the world. Um, and I just felt so empty inside. So I paused again. I left that job and I paused. And I really reflected on what is it that I wanted to be doing? And the school comes up. But of course, then I say to my family and to my former husband, okay, I'm going to start a school. And they go, with what credentials? You're not a teacher. You have no experience in this. Do something else. Do something that you have experience in. So that was how the nonprofit in science and sustainability got formed because I had seen that there were issues in labs around sustainability. I saw there was an opportunity to teach, right? It was a different kind of teaching and to guide people. So it's kind of doing what I wanted a little bit. So I started doing that. And that was really such a powerful experience because in that process, I learned that what I like doing most actually isn't teaching in terms of I have knowledge that I'm imparting to you, but it's asking questions and having
Mm,
people ask questions of themselves and see for themselves what's true. To your
mm,
point, we all have this deep inner wisdom that from a very young age gets suppressed and often not intentionally, often with the best of intentions. I mean, my parents are so loving and they were just trying to set me up for what they felt was success. Right? It isn't
mhm.
malicious. Nobody tells their kid to be a doctor or a lawyer out of malice, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to support me. Um, but that inner knowing, it doesn't ever get space, especially as we become adults, to really shine and flourish unless we get sick or something catastrophic happens that makes us go, oh, wait, what am I doing? So
Mhm.
in that nonprofit, I felt like I had such a wonderful opportunity and gift to work with scientists and just asking questions. And this was around sustainability initially, right? Like, what are you doing in the lab? Why are we leaving all the equipment on overnight? Which is something we definitely used to do, which makes no sense.
Mhm.
And then people started to see that that same framework could apply to their own life.
Do
So,
you know
oh,
what
interesting.
I love this
Hmm.
so much because you like just what you shared right now, and it just really I got clarity on that even after listening to your TEDx
Hmm.
was asking those questions like little kids do. Well, why does it do that?
Yeah.
Well, how come you do that? Like what? Like that inquisitive, and it's like if we stayed in that space of curiosity, of
Yeah.
like, well, why? And what would happen if? And you know what? As we get older, it's like, well, that's a silly question. Why would you ask that? That's just the way it's always been. That's the way we've
Exactly.
always done it, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's you see the kids in school that like kindergarten and younger when the teacher asks questions, oh, and then they start to get, well, that's that's not the answer. Well, who's to say that's not the answer? Like, or they
Yeah.
start to diminish or get worried. It starts then about what are people going to say? What if I don't have the answer right? And then we're not experimenting anymore. We're not questioning anything. And I think that does get
Mhm.
snuffed out, right?
Yes. Yes, you're exactly spot on. That's exactly what happens. We stop asking questions and we start believing that there are answers,
Yeah.
which is also really funny. And most
I,
of life doesn't have an answer.
yeah, and I love that. That was the one of the biggest ahas that you had of working in the lab and creating the migraine lab was asking those questions just because this is the way it's done. How can we do it differently? And I also loved, and I want to encourage everyone to watch your TEDx as well. And it's from a few years ago. It's like 2019, and the messages
Yeah.
in it are so relevant, though. They are still so relevant of
Thank you.
questioning outside of the box. But like asking not just on the bigger scale, but personally, what can I do that feels right? And that was very profound in what you shared too. It was like not just out there, but what can, because we each have our own, what's the word I'm looking for? Our own inner knowingness
Mhm.
to uncover, and that we each have um, control to a certain extent over that. Or what's the word that I'm looking for that covers it? I'm trying to think of what it is. Um, like knowingness, like it's like it doesn't have to follow what everyone else says because that's the way it's been. And so even the work that you were doing, it's like knowing that each individual and how you perceive it and the things that you do personally are having an impact.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's something really amazing when you can just shift the perspective ever so slightly from this idea that the knowing is outside of us to
Mm,
the knowing being inside of you and recognizing that everybody has a different lived experience. And
mhm,
so how they're going to approach something is different. And that's beautiful. And
mhm,
that's amazing. And we can learn from that. And I look a lot to nature in this as an example, because I'll look outside and, I'm in Los Angeles and just outside my window, what are there, 10 different kinds of plants? There's not just
mm,
one plant. And they're all these the 10 different plants that I'm looking at, they're all trees. So there isn't just one tree with one perspective that does its one thing. No, it's a community. And they all bring something different, and that makes it stronger. So
yeah.
there's something so powerful about looking inside and going, okay, well, what actually do I know to be true? And then how do I bring that to bear on this situation and create something that's true to me? And that is
Mhm.
like creating the tapestry of nature if humans could actually shift into that space.
Very cool. So beautiful. And I think shifting into that space, and I love that you said, well, here it's snowing here, so I can't see the green
No.
colors, but yeah. Um, when you look and being able to see from different perspectives, not there's only one perspective. So we get our inner knowingness and we be open to other perspectives that we may not have seen if someone didn't also show us that. And we can try it on and see how it fits. But it's like, oh, that doesn't feel good, or yeah, no, I like this.
Right.
I prefer this, and this feels good. So it's a beautiful combination of not just seeing ours, but also seeing what's out there
Mhm.
and looking at it from different perspectives. So,
Yeah,
love that.
exactly. It's like the wheel behind you. Actually, it was one of the first things I know. Is it a mirror behind you?
Oh, yeah, it is actually. There's a little mirror in here. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
yeah.
almost like all those different lines, right? They see their own perspective of the mirror. And the truth, if we're going to call it the truth, is all those different perspectives give you the sum total of that mirror. But if you cut
Mhm.
off half of the perspectives, you don't get to see the whole thing. And
Wow.
when we just choose to look at things from one small place, we miss the entirety of it and the beauty of it. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
that mirror behind you really reflects that. Ah, pun intended. What we were saying.
I love it. I love it. So good. So, okay, share how you went from Migraine Labs and what then shifted to take you to where you are now, which I think is so powerful.
So, in doing that work, I was starting to see the power of asking these questions. And I also had an experience that really opened me up kind of personally. I would say it was I don't really have words to put around it, but maybe it's a heart opening or a kind of a magical, mystical experience that just, it happened while I was driving down the road. And in that moment, it was as if everything came flooding back to me from my childhood.
Oh,
And I couldn't ignore anymore that I knew that I was meant to work with kids. And so it took me a few years to get the lab organization to a place where I knew it could thrive without me. Because, when you start something, sometimes it still needs you, or really more accurately, I created it to need me because I didn't realize I
oh,
was doing that. Right?
interesting. Wow. Okay, that is
Yeah.
so big. Okay, so what shift happened from it needing you that you created, which we do?
Yeah.
What shift happened to turn that? This is massive.
So when I saw that and I saw I wanted to work with the kids, I realized it really needed to stand on its own without me. And I also noticed that as the organization was growing into this global movement, I was becoming the expert. I mean, that's how I got the TED Talk, is I was seen as an expert in something. And that is a very difficult place to move from because it's fun and it's seductive, right? And you get to be on a pedestal about something. And I was noticing all of this and I was like, okay, so if I'm really going to do the thing I said I was going to do when I was 3, and I would really like to do that. Otherwise, what am I doing here exactly? Um, then I need to be able to give this to the people in the community who have helped create this. So I
Wow.
started shifting responsibilities onto the people that were, in our organization, started giving things to other people in the community, resigned, and then gave quite a bit of time between that resignation and when I left. And the organization is thriving, which is awesome. It's exactly what I could have hoped for, that it thrives without me. It has its own life now. It's awesome.
So good.
Um,
And it had huge
yeah,
impact. So you created something beautiful that is like, I love that it's thriving and you get to watch like you birth the baby. That's like having
yeah,
impact in such a great way. So good.
yeah, yeah. And I'm very like, I feel very honored, honestly, that and it feels like such a gift to have gone through that experience and to see that it's still having an impact in the world and empowering scientists in the way that I had always envisioned. And it doesn't need me, which is that's so important. This idea that we're needed for things. I mean, there's places, right? But the idea that I'm the only one who could ever possibly do this can be a prison unto itself. So there's always
Totally.
this constant, right? Like thought of, is this true? Is this accurate? Does it really need me? Um,
And the
and
thing
I
is
had help.
that thing is like to our core, we all want to feel like we're needed,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of
Mhm.
interesting too. What is the biggest impact that My Green Lab has had or is having that you're most proud of?
Oh, that's a really nice question. Um, the impact for me that I'm most proud of is that I've watched a generation of scientists really question their behavior, not just in the lab, but outside of the lab as well.
Mm,
Um, I'm really proud that there's an industry now around scientific sustainability that didn't exist. It was not a thing when I started that organization. Nobody would even come to my talks. I would give talks and people would show up for the free food and they would leave. Like
wow.
couldn't get one or two people even to sit through presentations that I gave.
And now
So
there's hundreds. Now
yeah,
there's, yeah.
it just that's a wonderful thing to see. And this happened after I left, but it still makes me feel really proud that the organization's partnered with the United Nations. So the certification that I developed in collaboration with a lot of other wonderful people who were working in that space, that has become the standard that the UN uses to evaluate the pharmaceutical industry for their 2030 goals. And that's
Okay.
so
Okay,
cool,
goosebumps.
right?
I just want to that is not little. That is massive. I'm so happy we took a moment for you to just realize the impact and celebrate that you started this massive ripple that has like now globally changed the way things are done and
Yeah.
has brought a level of efficacy to everything. So I'm just high-fiving you because I don't think we
Oh,
stop to
thanks.
celebrate that. So good.
Thank you. I really do appreciate how I mean, I started it, right? But it wasn't me. There was all these people that had to be part of this in order for it to actually move. And I would talk about this a lot, that this movement and that I can light the fire, but we need everybody to keep contributing for it to keep going. And it's
Yeah.
the same feeling now for this work that I'm more than happy to be the one who's like, let's go. But these things that happen that are really big, they happen because there's a community of people around them. And our narrative, I think, on the West tends to be like there's the one person who did the one thing, and that's not true. And it's really important to me that that be clear because that
Mhm.
false narrative puts a lot of pressure on people and has people misunderstanding the impact and the beauty that they're contributing all the time because they don't see themselves as the one person. Like they weren't the one who gave the TED talk. They weren't the one who was acknowledged at the conference. Yeah, but it could never have happened without all those people ever. It would have just been me hanging out, like saying, "Hey, care about this," you know?
Yeah, so true. But I want to highlight how important what you just said is because it takes us all. Like it does, like
Yeah.
nothing happens in isolation. It takes us all and it takes linking arms and it's so much more fun and so much more
Yes,
powerful and
it
so much more
really is.
fulfilling together, right? So, so good.
Yes.
Well, I'd love to
Well,
dive into then from
too.
there, the epicenter and your now what you're doing with kids. Like, so take us to that.
So I had left the migraine lab. I resigned right before COVID. So awesome timing on my part
Mhm.
with that. And then I'm in the middle of COVID and I'm so excited to share these ideas with kids, this questioning our behavior, understanding the conditioning that we grow up in. And really, the word empowerment here is exactly the right word because it's having the power within yourself, right? To know your own inner wisdom and to recognize your potential beyond this concept of a job, which is what we usually use that word for, right? So your potential is you could have this job or that job. Well, that's nothing compared to what humans are actually capable of.
Mhm.
So here I am, like, let's go. I'm so excited. And the whole world's response is basically, yeah, not now. We're busy with something else. We're a little preoccupied with this COVID thing.
Oh, right.
So
Yes.
take a pause. Um, so I had a couple of years where I would work in private settings with kids, but I couldn't really gather kids together. And I would work with parents, but that was very kind of one off. And in that time, I met somebody who was working at a makerspace in Santa Cruz. And so we started working together there and running classes for kids. And that's kind of how it started. I in the because I couldn't really gather kids, I made an art installation piece to try to help people understand the concept of entanglement. To very
Mm.
much to your point about like linking arbs, this idea that everything we do impacts everyone and everything around us instantaneously and simultaneously. So I created an immersive experience around that in this time. I was just doing whatever I could to get the ideas out there into the world to lay the foundation for this work with kids. And I had this vision that we were going to create retreat centers for kids. So places where, just like we would go to as adults, kids and young adults would come to come back to themselves, to know who and what they truly are, and to be exposed to that wisdom that they themselves know, the indigenous wisdom that is around us that we all can kind of be a part of, the natural wisdom of the natural world, to just pull on all of these things. And I was telling people about this, and someone in Michigan said, "Oh, I love this idea. I'll buy you property and you can start it here."
Wow.
So, me being me, right? 3 weeks later, I'm in Michigan. Here we go. And it wasn't real. And then I was in
Oh,
Michigan.
wow.
So there I was in Michigan. I depleted all my savings during this time. And it was such a humbling experience because I'd gone from, you know, this person that everybody was looking up to and flying all over the world and had started this big company and whatever, whatever, right? And now here I am, absolutely broke in a place I don't know anybody. It's about to be winter, which I have avoided for a number of years by living in California. And I have no idea how I'm going to make any money. And I've brought someone with me who I hardly know who just started working together. It was a very humbling moment.
Wow. I think and the story obviously shifts, but it's like when people think, oh, it was so easy. You just,
yeah.
like, it's courageous. And it's like, okay, so what kept you going at that point in time? Like, what was the big turning point that kept you going? And it's,
It's the same thing that keeps you going now because it's still not it's still not super easy. It's that there's nothing else I want to do.
mm,
I can't conceive of any other thing that I would want to give my time and energy to. I love working with these kids and I love working with these families. So I'm going to find a way to do this one way or another. And that's what we did. We reached out to local public schools. We reached out to a foster care agency that's based out of Detroit. We reached out to a local camp and we started working within the context of other organizations. And that's how we've been working for the last 4 years. We're working in Michigan. We just started setting up things in Los Angeles, where I am now. And we also just started a partnership with Ecuador, starting in the Galapagos Islands with an eye towards working with indigenous communities in the Andes and the Amazon. And all of
wow.
this is around inner wisdom for kids, um, understanding who and what you truly are, and giving them space to express that creatively. So we provide art supplies and music and dance and movie making and all these different kinds of writing, all these different modalities for them to express themselves while asking these questions, self-reflective questions around who are you really? We have exercises around labels, the labels that people give us. So we literally
Mm,
give them labels and have them put them on themselves so we can see how all the labels cover us up
mm,
and obscure ourselves. We do a mask exercise where they create masks of who they become for other people. And we talk about why we feel compelled to do that.
wow.
Um, we talk about where creativity comes from, where ideas come from. We talk about the idea that we're creative beings, that we create not only with our actions and all the art that we talk about, usually when we talk about creativity, but we create with our thoughts, right? Like
Mhm.
if we go back to when I was in college, I didn't want to be doing that course. So my thought process was, I hate this. And what
Yeah.
happened? I created a massive stomach ache every day. Um, so, right, we talk about that our thoughts create our emotional state, they create our body state, and they don't just stay within us. That if we have a thought about someone else in the class, they might feel that in some way. So we have that conversation. And then we talk about the interconnectedness of all of us. And we do an exercise where, or an activity where we're all connected by twine. And we show what happens when one of us doesn't show up with our gifts, much like nature, right? If the tree decides that out there today that it just doesn't feel like being a tree anymore, and it's out and it's decided it's going to be a fox for some reason, which nature can't do. It is always authentic, but we as humans totally can do. I mean, my story is an example of that, right? I was meant to be working with kids and I chose all these other things. Well, what happens? So then we cut the cords and we show how people have to sit down. Yeah, so that's kind of a general outline of the classes that we run, but that's what we're doing.
Oh my God, I got goosebumps. I love it so much. I have to say, I'm grateful. I had my kids, grade 4, 5, and 6, and it was like accidentally, sort of, not even accidentally. Well, my oldest, they were all like um, active and, love sports. And my daughter, there was a fine art school, and the teacher was like, I think she would thrive there. So put her in there. And then I ended up finding out the next year, like my son was having challenges. Like he was so excited about this test around the ear. Like he was so intrigued with the ear, and he ended up failing the test. I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, and I found out that he was dyslexic, and I found out at the same time I didn't know. I just thought I was not smart through school. Like I actually thought it was stupid because through university taking exercise physiology, I couldn't say the words. I flip, and I then found out it was because of the way that I learned. And so
Mhm.
it was such a gift to find that out at that time. And he ended up going to the fine art school. All four of my kids did for grade
Oh,
4, 5,
wow.
6, which was such a great foundation because they learned through the arts. And
Yeah.
had they then also, like, I just think even that in itself was great to like get out of the box. They're all now young adults, and but I think that was so foundational. I didn't realize how foundational until we're talking right now. And then you
Mm.
add on those inquisitive questions and the things that you do with the kids to help them, that's gets into their neural pathways on a level of understanding at that age, because we're creating all our new pathways in our systems at that time. So if they're able to get that, and not only get it um, uh, here, like in their mind, but they're physically experiencing it, and that's when it goes into their bodies, of which
Totally.
is so supersonically cool that your background was in neuroscience. Like you're neuroscientifically like changing lives by opening up what's there. I'm covered in goosebumps because there's no, like, the path that you took brought you so many gifts to do what you're doing in a very scientific yet very playful way, bringing this out in the kids. That's like lifelong that they will have.
Thank
Phenomenal.
you. Oh, thank you. You've stated that so perfectly and so beautifully. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's an embodied knowing. And when you have an embodied knowing, it's yours. Like no
Yeah.
one can take that from you.
One of the things that just I think really gave me goosebumps too, when you were talking about the being all twined together, and if one of them doesn't show up, what happens? Like, because everyone counts, everyone's important. It makes a difference that you're here, and your gifts matter. And when they're not here, there's a void, and it doesn't operate the same. So for,
Yeah.
like, I think there's such a craving or a need for people to know they're needed, wanted, seen, heard, that they matter. And if they get that to their core at this age, and that that they're significant. And I think that is
Yeah.
such, it might sound like it's play. It's so much more than that, what you're bringing to the world through what you're doing. And I think that this would be one of the ultimate retreats for adults to go to bring out that kid
Yeah.
that's there and
Yeah.
re-find that again and play and do
Hmm.
those things, because there is that little kid that's in all of us, right? And
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I just think it's so powerful what you're doing. I just love it so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I like in this retreat center, I dream of space for the kids and then also space for adults, particularly parents, but also teachers and then of course anybody who wants to, because what you're saying is exactly true. We do these exercises or activities with adults as well, and they're just as powerful for all the reasons that you're saying, because we go through life never asking these questions.
Mhm.
So it's not like a 50-year-old has really thought about this deeply for a long period of time and is like, oh, I totally have worked this out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, right. I have to say, like for myself, I ask these questions all the time. I feel like I don't understand almost anything. I feel like the Joni Mitchell song, like
Are you going to sing it to us?
Really don't know life at all. But I love
So,
asking questions.
yeah.
So
So what do you do with this? Like when you open up this capacity, this ability, like what does that look like for the kids or the young adults going through your program? Like how do they, what does that look like? What does that journey look like for them?
it usually starts. So when they enter, they're often pretty closed off if they don't know us already. And a little confused because we set up the space differently than they might be used to for a class. So we're always in a circle and we use first names and we sit with them. We don't stand above them. It's really important. There's a lot of intention around how this entire thing is structured so that it appears to be very playful and free within a very tight structure that's so intentional to have that feeling for them, but they're very tightly held. So at first, there's a lot of kind of trepidation almost, and especially with the middle school kids, they're like, "What is this? Who are these people?" And then we're asking a lot of questions about them, and people don't tend to ask questions about kids, right? They
Mm,
ask, "How's your day?
mhm,
How are your friends?" They don't ask, "How are you feeling?" Or why, oh, that's interesting. Why did you draw it like that? Where did that come from? Or what's on your mind? What have you been thinking about today? Right? Just like really open-ended, wanting to actually know, who are you? And what are you making here? And tell me more. And like with this, exactly the tone that I'm using, just very curious, very open. There's no judgment. And so you start to see them open up. And what we hear from parents is they'll say, I see my kid again.
wow.
Like I've missed my kid and I really see my child has come back.
Wow.
They're not trying to hide anymore. And with each other, because we hold everything in groups, they become so connected to each other that they have a peer group, which is so important, especially for this generation that feels so disconnected, everything being on a device, mediated by a screen. There are no screens here. So you have to talk to each other, and we're asking questions in groups. So it's very vulnerable. It creates very deep bonds. And they'll come out and we have them take surveys, before and after for mental health and well-being, and then also just to write and to share some of the things that the kids have said. They've said, I feel respected. I feel more powerful. I feel loved. I feel like I can do anything. Like I feel more connected to my friends and myself. And these are not things we're telling them, right? Because we're not telling them anything. We're just asking questions.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
And so do they, like what ages and is it classes they go to? Do they graduate from the program or what, how do they, is it, I'm just understanding. So for people are probably curious, like, how do I get there? Like,
Yeah.
what does it look like? And then what your
These are all
vision
really
is
good
of
questions.
the organization too.
Yeah, these are such good questions. So because we kind of fell into after school and summer programs, it hasn't been, oh, this is what we're going to do. It's just, oh, this is what we're doing. Um, so our after school and summer programs, we have them age separated because that, like a 12-year-old's experience of the world is different than a 7-year-old's experience of the world. And what they're able and willing to talk about is different. So we work with ages, we say 7 to 22. We have worked with kindergartners, of course. It's just with the younger ages, they already have this, right? So it's like it's just us keeping it alive, which is so fun, but different than
Mhm.
by the time kids are around 7 or 8, you really start to see it diminish in them.
And start to close, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we want to do the work there. And the kids don't graduate. We just change the classes because it's so
Okay.
fluid. It's just them. And we're so flexible. We're there to serve them. So whatever they show up with, we just meet them where they are and
I
we just
love
keep
it.
going. So we've had some kids with us for 4 years. We've had some kids that are brand new this year. And so that takes on, it's interesting. It's kind of taken on a life of whatever it wanted to be. And the vision of the retreat centers would be a week or two overnight. It would be a little bit older because seven's kind of young for that. So we're thinking 10 to 22, same thing, age broken out, small classes. All of our classes are 10 kids, 12 kids at most. We would do maybe 30 kids at the retreat, but broken out into smaller groups. And the vision is that people can come year after year to the space to deepen their understanding of themselves, and that parents can come also and deepen their understanding of themselves and their connection with their children. Because
I
as
love.
kids get older, right, that connection, it can be hard to maintain. So, yeah,
Ab-
that's what we're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And what would you say are like people listening, what would be three of the best questions, or maybe one or two that you think would be a great question to ask ourselves daily or to ask our children? Like, what are the three that you say this would be a great place to start?
Oh, that's such a good question. The simplest one is, how are you feeling? And how am I feeling? And we put for the kids, we say you can't say good, you can't say bad, and you can't use a word that you used yesterday. So you have to be
Mm,
really thoughtful. So how are you feeling and where are you feeling it? So that brings awareness to body sensations that we tend to not have any awareness on, especially throughout the day. You know, if you're in a conversation with someone as an adult, asking yourself, how am I feeling right now? Is a really good question to ask because it tells you a lot about what's happening in that conversation, in that dynamic. Because as I'm speaking with you, I notice just how open my heart is and how I can feel my heart just beating in like a really, not in a nervous way, but in a like excited. Like I am so grateful for this conversation. I'm so grateful to be connected with you. So grateful to be sharing this. So just, yeah, noticing that can be really powerful. Um, and then the other really simple question is why? So, okay,
mm,
so how am I feeling? Where is it in my body and why? Like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I doing this way? Do I mean to be doing this? Right?
mm,
They're so simple. Um, and yet they start to uncover so much.
mhm. It gives us kind of a place to start to be aware and then choosing to move in a different direction if we need to, or a different
Mhm.
energy, or shift something that we can do.
Exactly.
If someone's like they realize, okay, I'm not feeling good right now, what's the one simple thing that they can do to shift that?
So if you're not feeling great and you can't actually get out of the situation, which does happen, right? Obviously, if you're not feeling great, one of the best things is to just say, oh, okay, I'm going to remove myself from this situation. I'm not going to continue to do this. Um, which we don't really talk about a lot as an aside, right? We're always like, how do I make it feel better? And
Yeah.
sure, right? But also, like, that's good information. Everything that comes in is good information to just use. Um, so for the kids, what we teach them, I mean, I know breath work is something a lot of people share. So I'm going to share something different because you've probably heard about breathing. You've probably heard
Yeah.
about a lot of the exercises. This is one that we share with the kids because it's so powerful and it's so simple. So you just take your thumb and your forefinger and you very gently, so you can feel the ridges, just move it back and forth. And it'll focus all of your attention on your thumb and your forefinger. And this, in addition to activating your parasympathetic nervous system, it moves your attention to something really specific and it instantly calms people down. So we teach the kids to do this. And I love teaching adults too, because if you're in a meeting, you can do this a whole lot easier than you can do box breathing. Like people are going to
Mm,
notice if you're doing a box breath, they're going to notice something's not right. So you're like,
yeah. Well, you know what's so cool is that I did honestly notice that I even dropped more into myself. Like I just felt more relaxed as soon as I did it. Like, which is, I love that you have the neuroscience behind it. And this is so simple. Like it doesn't have to be that complicated. If we're in a situation that we can't change, how do we, manage our nervous system in that moment so that we're not, going out of a place that we get to be calm. And I just made me think of a quick story to my husband's father was an arthritic rheumatologist specialist. And
Mm.
when patients would say, "Oh, this hurts when I do that," he would say, "Well, don't do that." And his number one prescription was to dance. It was like
Oh,
just dance, like moving something. So,
yeah.
yeah, so that's pretty special. Oh my goodness, I could talk to you forever. Like I love everything you're doing. I cannot wait to continue to follow as your Epic Center grows and impacts more and more. And I think we should maybe talk about integrating some sort of retreat that we could do. I don't know. I just think that, or maybe a workshop. I don't know, but I think there's so many things and super um, exercises, not just exercise that embody what you're
Yeah.
talking about and just simply doing this, how that like shifted. So, is there anything else, like if anybody that you want anybody to walk away with, if there was one thing you wanted them to know?
Mhm. That you know what you're doing,
Hmm.
that you really have a deep inner understanding. And it takes a lot of courage to connect with that and to act from that place, but you have it. And you have something that is uniquely yours to share with the world. And right now, if you're not sharing it, we're all missing out.
Hmm.
So you don't have to. It's not like an imperative, but do understand that you have that. And at any moment you can access it and bring it forward and just see what arises when you have the courage to do that.
I love it. See how you were just like the most beautiful person to have on Inspiring Possibilities, the courage to jump in. That's the podcast. And it really is about courage because anything that's stretching us out of our comfort zone is courageous. And I'm just grateful that you listened to that little 3-year-old that knew and had the courage to jump in because the impact and the ripple effect that you get to make in this world. And then it's not just you, it's the ripple of the ripple, which is so amazing. So thank you, thank you. And I always love to finish with two of my favorite questions is what would you tell your 12-year-old self?
Oh, that's such a good question. My 12-year-old self, I would tell her that all of the experiences that she's been having up until this point, they're real. That's what I would tell myself. I used to have a lot of experiences that I couldn't explain. And my
Mm,
mom used to say I was allergic to medicine. And I started for a long time, I believed that they weren't real, and they are real. And um, I would tell my 12-year-old self to not cut myself off from all of that because um,
wow.
because I could have kept it for so many years. So that's one thing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I think that's going to be a whole other podcast because I want to know all those things too, which is so cool. And then the last question is what would your 12-year-old self looking at you now say to you now?
Oh, Michelle, that's gonna make me cry. Um, that yeah, you thank you for honoring what we said we were gonna do. Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. I have my heart here. I'm sending you this.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to thank you, Allison. I know we're going to be spending more time, but I am going to share all your info, the links, everything below on how people can get in touch with you and find out more. Is there anything else or where is the easiest way for them to find you? I will have the links, so if you want to share that verbally here too, that would be great.
Yeah, I personally am not on social media, so the best way to get in touch with me is to send me an email. And I love getting emails, so please don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay, so we'll have your email on the show notes and everything. Allison, thank you so much. You are such a gift. And maybe we can do an exit where she's got the, the keyboard behind because That's one of
I'm
the
going
things
to turn
we
it
talk about
on.
is having fun with what we're doing. And
Let me
so
turn
maybe
it
we'll
on.
have a musical exit out of our, she can play us a note on the way out as we have some fun. Thank you. Thank you.
You
Thank
can't
you.
see me.
Thank
Here
you,
I am.
Allison.
See, okay. So I really do just play. So this isn't me playing a song. I'm just going to play something. We'll see if it's good. We can use it. If not, we'll cut it.
I love it that she said it's about being courageous and she only usually plays for herself. So I want to tell you how lucky we are right now. And I don't care if you play the drums, the drumsticks, that's good.
So here we go.
Oh, and it's not letting us hear it. That's
Oh,
crazy.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
all
Here,
of
I
a sudden
can.
this sound.
Do you want me to fix it?
Sure, we'll see.
I have to turn on original sound for musicians. There we go. Let's see if you hear this. Do you hear
Okay,
it?
let's see. Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I'll come up with something. Let's see. That actually feels
Beautiful.
very simple and the exact feeling of jumping in and having it be beautiful.
So good. So much fun. Until next time, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you all so much for listening.
If this conversation resonated with you, I highly encourage you to connect with Allison and explore her work. You'll find all of her links below, and you can look her up on Instagram at Be the Epicenter. You can also watch her TEDx, Our Little World, which I have the link in the show notes as well. Now, as you leave this conversation, I want to invite you into something simple but powerful. How are you feeling right now? And what do you already know that you may not be acting on? Because that knowing, that's where the next step is. And if you're ready to take that step, I've created a free guide for you, the Courage to Jump In Starter Guide, to help you move from overthinking into clear, aligned action. You'll find that in the show notes as well. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who might need this reminder today, because you never know what's possible until you take that first next step.